What up?
Hello.
What's going on, everybody? Today is what? Friday.
Yes, it is.
And it's what? 4/4/25, right?
Yeah.
Today we want to chop it up about why it's important to tell your story. Why your story matters most. And also why it's important for you to tell your story, right? Because if you leave it up to other people to tell your story, if you leave it up to people to narrate your story, it will never be as accurate as the way you could tell it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like history.
But your history.
Right. You know, because I'm just saying, like, compared to how history is, we've got so many stories about history that we know for a fact now that it's not accurate. Why? Because it wasn't told by the people that they're telling it about.
Right.
It's told from other people.
Right.
So it's never been accurate, never will be as accurate.
Basically,
third party stories, or from someone else, So that's why it's important for you to narrate your story.
Right.
Because when it's all said and done, that's what it's gonna really matter, right? When you're gone off this earth, it's gonna matter. So
they're gonna remember.
Right. So yeah. To elaborate on that, here's a good example right here. Like, you walk into a room at a new job that you started.
Mm-hmm.
There's one person there that doesn't know you directly, but they know of you. They've heard about you. They've heard stories about you, right? They've heard about you through other people in the same neighborhood, same city. They work there. So right off the rip, they start telling people, "Oh, I know him. I heard about him. He's like this. He's like this kind of." They're not telling you that. They're not telling the other people around them that they don't really know you directly. They've never spoken to you directly, but they'll tell it like that because people tend to do that.
Right.
"Oh, I know him.
Right.
You know of me, but you don't know me." But they'll say, "I know him. Yeah, he's a quiet guy. And he's kind of mean actually. He doesn't talk a lot. He's kind of mean. So right there, they set the tone for you, for how people will treat you,
right,
and how people will speak to you.
Right. That's the picture they painted.
They've already painted that picture for you, and you didn't get the chance to put your best foot forward or your first impression,
right?
Because they've already painted it for you.
Right.
See how important it is for you to narrate your story.
Yeah.
Because already a picture has already been painted for you. You know what I'm saying? And it sets the tone for how people will treat you. It sets the tone for how people will act towards you. You know what I'm saying? It already sets the tone for the opportunities that come your way.
Right.
So many things are involved in this.
Yeah.
Right?
And it shapes people's perspective of you dishonestly.
Exactly. It definitely does.
Like at the end of the day,
you've seen it personally.
At the end of the day, you don't have any real control over that, but other people's perspectives of you. But you do have control on how honest it is, and you know what I mean. And it's only going to come honestly from you. If someone else is painting a picture of you, now that perspective that someone else has of you isn't an honest one, because it didn't come directly from you.
Right.
Now, if you do some shit and have an interaction with a person, and they get a perspective of you, now that's an honest one because it came directly from you. That's all I'm saying. So that's still important for you to be able to project that from you.
Yeah. Because like I said, it really changes the people's perception, the world's perception, I should say, on you.
Mm-hmm.
And it does matter. Like, I'm not saying necessarily that you should.
It doesn't matter overall, but it matters because you want to put your best foot forward, right?
Right.
Not because someone else cares or anybody else's perspective.
I was just gonna say, I don't want to put too much emphasis on what someone else thinks of you.
Right.
But in a grand scheme, it does matter.
Yeah.
It does matter.
Yeah.
In a bigger picture, it does matter.
For sure.
Yeah. And why not anyway when it's in your hands anyway? So why not take advantage of that, right?
Right.
Because we all have the power to shape the perception of ourselves, but a lot of times we might get lazy. We don't want the responsibility of it, so we let others do it.
I wish someone would have told me this stuff when I was younger, like when I was 17, 18 maybe. In regards to damn, made me lose the fucking train of thought. That's what I wanted to say right then and there. I mean, basically, Oh, they would have just told me that it doesn't, like, no one else's opinion actually matters. It's really yours. Your perspective on how you see yourself is what actually matters. Essentially, at the end of the day, the bigger picture. I wish somebody would have told me that. You know what I mean? It was something else I was gonna say. But anyway, go ahead. My bad.
Yeah, just these are the reasons why, like I said, shaping your narrative matters, because so many things are involved in that. You know, back to the whole thing where I was saying, because about the whole like the job thing, because it's happened to me before, like personally, where people, a person, like I said, that was a distant, someone who says they knew me but really didn't know me. They knew me from a distance. They heard about me, and they painted a picture in the environment as if they already knew who I was, that I was a quiet, mean guy, you know? When they met me in one instance where I was quiet that day, you know, and not talkative that day. So they took that, ran with that, and painted a picture that I was this quiet, mean guy. So at that point, people were off-put by me. People were distant from me, and they were afraid, literally afraid to talk to me. And it finally come later, you know, obviously, eventually it came around where I got the opportunity to tell my story, to narrate my own story, and the person they saw from speaking to me that, hey, you're not quiet, you're not mean at all, you know, and you're not unapproachable at all. But I felt you were unapproachable at the time because of what so-and-so said, you know, and I said, well, you know, that was the first mistake, listening to someone else. Why not listen to my story from me? And they were like, you're absolutely right. That was my mistake, you know? And people do it a lot, but that's out of your control.
Right.
But what's in your control is to make sure that you are assertive in telling your story, narrating your own story. And why is it important? Like I said, because when it's all said and done, you know, that's the legacy you leave. Let's talk about that. That's the legacy that you leave, let alone even currently. People are gonna treat you not the way you wanted to be treated. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it messes up opportunities, all types of things. These are some of the reasons why it's so important to tell your own story.
I won't necessarily say that it'll mess up an opportunity. It can, but in general, it influences opportunities that are unfavorable. If that makes sense. I just don't want to go directly in and say it'll mess it up, because sometimes it can influence an opportunity in a good way, in an unexpected way, because sometimes life happens that way as well. Things are influenced in ways that are not what you thought it would be, but doesn't mean that's not a better way. I say this to say that you have to stay flexible as well, you know? You have to stay flexible because you have to be ready for things to sometimes change. That's all.
Yeah, trying to think of other things that I've seen where, like, you know, I mean, even not telling your own story can literally lead to you being incriminated. You know,
right?
If you just sit back, like even literally with the cops, you know, being interrogated, you know. Obviously, it's smart. I'm telling you now, it is
I'm
smart.
getting uncomfortable already just hearing this.
It's smart not to say anything at the time, but there will come a time where it's important for you to tell your side of the story. Obviously, we know when you're being interrogated, and if you don't know this, I'm telling you now, when you're being interrogated, you don't say shit until you get a lawyer. But there will be a time where it's important not to be quiet anymore. If you're quiet the whole damn time, the police will paint that picture for you, and you'll be done for it. So it's important. Once again, here's another example how it's important to eventually narrate your own story.
Yeah.
You know. Also, you know, it's a matter of honesty. You want the story to be as honest as it could possibly be, and how can it possibly be any more honest unless you're the one telling it?
Right.
Right. Even if you told a story about me, about Jonathan, as my identical twin, it'll never be as authentic as it can be told.
It didn't come from the source.
Because it didn't come from the source. That's why.
Yeah.
So let the story come from the source, you know? Yeah, like, that's one thing that when I was younger, I used to read a lot of books, still do, but not as much. But I'd be in the library reading these biographies about people. And my heart was broken when I found this out. That the person who wrote the biography, who wrote, let's say, the majority of it, wasn't even the guy or the girl who the book was about. It was it was an author who wrote it, and they might have worked with the person who it was written about. I'm saying from my experience, this is what happened. When I was reading the biography, I found out that the person who wrote the biography, or at least the main
I
writer.
was about to ask you, so you said biography, not autobiography, right?
No, biography, because auto is
About themselves. So you're saying someone else wrote about another person.
exactly.
Right.
So when I read that the biography was about somebody, I'm thinking it's as real as it gets. It's as honest as it's ever gonna get. Because it's about this person. I'm thinking, for whatever reason, I assumed that this is gonna be as honest and true as it's gonna ever be. But I realized later it can't be, because this is written by another person. Matter of fact, the person, I learned even more that the biography wasn't even, the person, some of the biographies that I read, the person that was written about had nothing to do with it. They weren't even informed on it. That blew my mind. I was like, who can write a book about somebody and say all this about that person, yet this person had nothing to do with it?
Yeah, all they have to do is just do a bunch of research on them.
Yeah, that blew my mind when I read that.
Speak about them in their perspective.
Right.
That doesn't mean they can't speak about you in their perspective as if they know this to be
But
fact.
they'll say it is truth. It's fact. Yeah, and that's what got me.
That's some
That blew my
dangerous
mind.
writing right there.
Because as a kid, I was believing all this. I'm thinking that's who that person is now.
Yeah.
You could find out that person had nothing to do with that story. Wasn't even there.
Right.
It's like they heard about it and wrote, so all that kind of shit. So that's the dangers of letting someone tell your story.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the dangers of it right there. We can go down all kind of list of why it's not good, But let's talk about some of the benefits of telling your story. What do you think of some of the benefits of you telling your story firsthand?
For one, like what we talked about earlier, it's an honest, depiction or presentation of yourself, because it's coming straight from you. Honestly, I think it's an opportunity to make the most impact too. Like if that's what you want to do, like even if you're not interested in doing that, just by living life and being yourself, hopefully you're gonna make an impact in someone's life. Or just in general, you're gonna make an impact. It could be minute or it could be huge. Either way, you're gonna make an impact. I believe that we all do in some way. I don't think nobody's here just to be here or anything around us for that matter. But I just think that if you're gonna present yourself, you should do it in a very honest way, and that should be always your first and foremost goal. So that's why you should be the one doing it. Don't let no one else do that for you. That's something I think I used to tell my daughter a lot. Like, don't let no one define you. Don't let no one say who you are, coming from their perspective as if that's the truth. Let people know who you are.
Right.
Don't let them tell you who you are.
That also brings up a great point, something that my dad brought up when I was younger, right? And I see what he was saying as far as, once again, history, right? Specifically for Black Americans, or AKA African Americans, right? This is a really key. This can go into another topic, but we won't go into it, but I'm using this as an example. Black Americans have been called so many different titles throughout history, right? We've been called what? Black American, African American, Negro, Indian. Some of y'all don't know that, but we were actually called that at one point. So many different names. But here's the thing. All those names and the stories that are told about us as far as being held in slavery, and that's our history. We come from Africa and we're about to turned into slaves, right? That's the story, right? But guess who told that story to us? The person who actually did the slaving.
This is a fact.
It's a fact. This is no propaganda. Just saying fact.
This just goes across the board in regards to like colonialism. You know what I'm saying? Because it's happened to a lot of different cultures.
Yeah. A lot of indigenous cultures, right? So, indigenous people of color.
It happened the same way all across the board.
Right. Not with just Black Americans. No. It happened with Hispanics.
In the same fucking way. It was always
Asians.
I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, like I said, we won't go too into it. But I'll speak on my story as a Black American.
Yeah.
I would say that all those stories that were told to us, especially the slavery story, and the fact that you're an African American, all that didn't start from our elders, because our elders told different stories.
Right.
But what the stories we were told here in America and in school, conflicting stories, of course.
Yeah.
But what stories we were told is the stories we were told came from the people who were doing the oppressing.
Right.
So right there, another danger of being told, letting someone else tell your story, is that now it misleads you about who you really are.
Yeah.
You don't know yourself because you let someone else tell your story.
Right.
And it's really crazy that you would let someone who did the oppressing, who did the lying, who did the stealing, tell you who you are.
Right.
I was so adamant about it that I was like, even if it's true, I won't allow them to tell me that because you're the one who did it.
Right, like that logic right there should just be like, what the fuck,
right.
you know? But
so if anything, if I have to, if anything, I will retell my story. Right. I'll recreate that story.
Right.
Because I'm not letting you have that. Because you're the one who did it. Well, I'm gonna let you tell me about me.
Not to mention,
and it's not even just about that. That's the colonialism stuff. I'm just talking about in life period. Why let someone else tell you who you are? It's you. You define your story. It makes no sense, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I think we're all supposed to be doing here anyway. You know, telling our stories. And that basically means to honestly express yourself from a very free place. Now, I know that's easier said than done because look at this is life, you know, like people judge all the fucking time. People have all types of pressures that they deal with. You know, and some people are more free because they choose to be, in my personal opinion, and some people just aren't there where they can just be themselves yet, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's no judgment, there's no reason, it's not even like, everybody grows at their own speed, first and foremost. So like, I think essentially everybody's gonna get there anyway at one point or another. You're gonna eventually get to that space where you can just be you. That's the beauty, like when people grow, I don't even like to say get older, but when people get of a certain age, they start being like, I don't give a fuck. You know, that's why you think they get there. It's because they've gone through enough stuff where they're just starting to realize it doesn't matter. You know,
what they realize is that
certain things.
What you do is, as you mature, you realize what's important is what it is. So yeah, so it comes out like you don't give a fuck, but really you drop the stuff that's no longer important.
Right.
You know, the things that don't have any real impact.
Right.
You realize what has no real impact and you let it go. You cut the fat, so to speak.
That part.
Right?
Yeah.
You only leave what's important. You only put your energy in things that are important to you, not to the world or to your family or to your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your husband or your wife. You're only focused at this point. Your only energy goes into what's important for you.
Right.
And that's what comes with wisdom. Mm-hmm. Right? That's what comes with living life. That's what comes with awareness.
So you're able to express yourself more authentically because of those reasons.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. You know, because of all that, that's why they get, like the elders that we see, they get to that point where they're able to just not care about certain things.
Because we all got a grandpa, grandma. That comes off like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they would just say whatever came in their mind.
You know? Because it was authentic.
Yeah.
They don't care how you felt. Mm-hmm. Maybe some people can say that's cruel, but I understand that thinking because they're going, how you felt has nothing to do with me.
Right.
How you feel about it has nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. But I'm still going to tell this truth.
Right.
Because that's what the most important part is.
Yeah.
Right? Which I feel. I get that.
I respect that.
I mean, I'm kind of there these days. Not exactly there all the way with that.
I'm definitely more interested in the truth as opposed to just
how it makes me feel.
Like, you know.
Because how I feel doesn't necessarily validate whether it's true or not.
Not necessarily. You know at the end of the day, that shit's going to pass.
Yeah, exactly.
What's going to last
is that truth.
Right.
You know? Right.
Shit,
you can't wipe away truth. Let people try.
Right there.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Because people will always try. I mean, throughout the history, people have tried to wipe away the truth, but it's always there. It's a stain that ain't going away.
Yeah.
You know? That touches on what we were just talking about. Mm-hmm. But to wrap it all up, make sure to tell your story because of all these reasons we just said. Mm-hmm. Right? Because otherwise, man, I guarantee you people will handle your shit or somebody will handle it for you.
Fucking right.
And it won't be, most times it won't be in an authentic way. As a matter of fact, they usually have their own agenda. You know? We're dealing with it right now in this world.
So look here, just try less of listening to outside sources and try just a little bit more to listen to yours. Listen to your own voice just a little bit more. Just see what you come up with. You know what I mean? And by voice, I mean intuition, the feeling you get, your gut feeling, your heart. Listen to that. Get quiet for a minute. Trust yourself enough to know that you love you enough to guide you in the right direction.
Yeah.
So, okay, don't ever let nobody play you and try to make you feel less than just being you. Don't ever let nobody try to sell you outward to be less than what you are. And if it sounds like they're telling you in a way that's not the best light, then fucking address it. Don't fucking get violent. Just address it and move on and do better. Don't just get mad at them for not doing it right. Now it's your turn to really let them know who you are, for whatever that is. I don't care what it is. Let them know who you are. Don't let nobody else do that for you.
Right.
Because then you only got yourself to blame if you let them do it.
That's what I'm saying.
That's it.
Because we see it a lot every day. People are lazy and they'll say, oh, I'll let them do it.
Yeah.
Don't let them do it because they do it. It ain't going to be the best for you, I tell you right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, get up off your ass and put that best story out there for yourself.
Yeah.
Put the effort into doing that.
Because you love yourself. That's what it comes down to.
Right.
I love you, but I also love myself. And I love you because I love myself. So love yourself for yourself. Like, share, and subscribe. If you got anything from what we said today, please let us know in the comments. We very much appreciate it. We're trying to connect.
No doubt.
We are DV.
Cool.